And then on the policy side, I mean, what are the policy guiding themes for this year?
South Africa's agricultural policy will remain interesting in 2021 and going on into 2022. And I think we will be building up on some of the themes that we saw in 2020. 2020 was somewhat consequential, but one, if you're looking at it in a bit of more rough look at it, you might think that nothing happened, but I think consequential things did happen. If you take a step, for example, and say, what really then is that? I think the Department of Agriculture began having a somewhat clearer view about what's its stand on agricultural policy. And if you look at that, they have about three major themes that they've really been prioritizing. They are talking a lot about transformation, but the detail under transformation is starting to become much more clearer. They announced the release of 700,000 hectares of land, and much of that will unfold in 2021, where the selection about who's benefiting on what land, that's that transformation angle will happen now. And again, under transformation, we began hearing the government saying, for small farmers, they're going to begin to think about how can the state procure some of the produce of small farmers, either for hospitals, for schools, feeding scheme and stuff. That was still at a theoretical level. We're hoping then this year that we will see that coming on into policy and something that is much more crafted. That's on transformation. But also on addressing inefficiencies in the system. That was one of the key policy points. And that also has about 2 points underneath it. One, dealing with legislative stuff that is inhibiting growth in the sector. Either it's on animal health that is inhibiting our exports, or registering new chemicals that are good for boosting up our productivity. The government said, look, within the next 6 months, we will look into all of this. The industry will have to tell us what are the issues. This year, we want to see what actions will be done there. But there's also a hard one under addressing inefficiencies, which is linked to infrastructure. And I think that infrastructure will take a while before we see gains in there. And much more important in there also, which is the third point, was a story about expansion and growth in the sector. That point is becoming much more interesting. We're talking a lot about opening more export markets, but it also links to the first point of the state releasing some of the underutilized land to the hands of the people to utilize that. And I think constructively, all of those underpinned by blended finance that is also coming towards conclusion and will be launched in the first quarter of this year. I think those are consequential things, which if you look at it, I think they will be important for the sector. But 2021 will obviously see land reform policy coming to the rise. We didn't hear a lot about Section 25 last year, but I think about that point, we will hear a lot this year. Expropriation bill, which came in last year, we'll hear a lot more about that also this year. So there's a lot of developments, some very important, that are happening on agricultural policy.